Почитувани дами и господа, добре дојдовте на Филозофскиот факултет во Скопје, најстарата високообразовна институција во Република Македонија. Ми представува големо задоволство во моје име, во име на Филозофскиот факултет да ве поздравам за тоа што сте присутни денес на овој ден со нас, кога се организира една од можеби ретките семинари, средби, која што се однесува на раниот детски развој, на раната детска интервенција, која што мислам дека во последниот период апсолутно променува мислењето на јавната свест во државата, односно го подига мислењето на јавната свест за значењето на раниот детски развој, за значењето на првите години од развојот на децата и се она што треба да се прави не само на декларативно ниво во однос на промените на ова поле. Токму затоа ми представува задоволство.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to invite you to this conference about early childhood intervention at the Faculty of Education, which is at the Faculty of Philosophy, which is the oldest institution the oldest institution for higher education in Macedonia. And actually it's a great pleasure because it is one of the rare occasions when we have a conference on this topic, because it hasn't been hugely discussed in the audience, the broader audience in Macedonia, and is gaining momentum currently because there are certain things about early childhood intervention which need to be implemented. And at this point, they're only expressed on a declarative level. So we should practice more what we preach. So that's why we think it's very important to have a conference on this topic.
Participants, dear friends from Austria and Macedonia, I feel a little bit half Macedonian. You know, they say Macedonia, where your wife comes, you're coming. Yeah? So I'm from Skopje, from people from Skopje. Sorry about this. Thank you, Elena, about the invitation to the Faculty of Philosophy. It is a good first step, because it doesn't matter if it is on Faculty of Philosophy, Faculty of Medicine, Faculty of Social Work. It matters that we have children. Yeah? So I'm very proud that we start here in the Faculty of Philosophy, but it doesn't mean that it will remain only on Faculty of Philosophy. If we look at Europe, we have this topic of early childhood intervention in some countries in medical schools, in some countries in social work, in some countries in special education. It does not matter. It's just a political game, where to put, where to start. Yeah?
Филозофскиот факултет, професионалска, драги гости, професори од Австрија и Германија, нови од Србија, останати професори, колешки, колеги, почитувани студенти, драги постдипломци, еве да поздравам јас во својство на организатор на овој семинар.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, students, guests, I would like to thank you for all being here, and I would like to meet you and welcome you as the organizer of this event.
Особено сакам да се заблагодарам на мојот драг пријател и колега професор Pretis од Австрија и кој предава на Хамбургскиот универзитет за овој семинар, кога во минатата година од прилика во време почнавме заеднички да го планираме овој семинар, и кој што несебично кажа дека ќе му причинува особено задоволство да биде тука со нас и да доведе некои од своите пријатели и гости да го пренесат нивното знаење од оваа област. Интервенција била третирана уште од почетоците на Институтот за дефектологија или Институтот за специјална едукација и рехабилитација од 1993, но секако ќе признаете повеќето сигурно дека се уште представува топ тема на европските конференции, конгреси и семинари и секогаш е актуелно. Две сесии денеска со една кафе пауза, кое што ќе биде и покрај тоа што не земавме котизација, филозофскиот факултет, значи ја спонзорира таа, деканатската управа, ручекот ќе морате сами и на крајот ќе за сите оние најупорни заслужно ќе добијат сертификатот за учество доколку имаат потреба од него. Толку од мене за сега, ви благодарам за вниманието.
As Lena mentioned, there are a lot of activities I do, and sometimes I'm not very much at home. But still I do operative work with my wife, Alexandra Timova from Skopje. We are still working with families operatively, so 3-4 hours a week. We meet families in the context of psychiatric disorders. We meet their children and we do assessment, we do support, we plan support systems for the children. So when I'm talking about early childhood intervention, I still have one small feet also in the practice. As Lena said, I'm professor for transdisciplinary early childhood intervention in Germany, and we are doing quite a lot of European projects, and I am looking forward joining and integrating Macedonia into these projects, hopefully from next year. So what we are talking about children, but not only about children. I want to emphasize that early childhood intervention is not only about vulnerable children, but about vulnerable families. So if we only work with the children in kindergarten system, this is fine. But empirical evidence data show that without participation, full participation of parents, early childhood intervention is not so efficient. So early childhood intervention means working with the family, working with the child, and working in a team around the child. So what I want to talk about is what is early childhood intervention, how can we make early childhood intervention more efficient, and maybe what strategy could be useful for Macedonia. If you have some questions during the presentation, please ask. Ask directly. Don't wait. It is like talking to families. If there is a misunderstanding, it does not help if this misunderstanding is solved 1 month later. Misunderstanding is the key of dialogue, so we have to start to talk about what we do not understand. And believe me, many families do not understand our language as professionals. Medical language, special education language, language of psychology, language of social work. So this is one of the take-home messages, maybe the first take-home message for you. If you talk to families and children, try to validate, try to verify that the family is understanding you. And it means very much explaining, very much listening to families, like our very good friend Barry Hartman always says from UK. Maybe the first and important issue is what is early childhood intervention? Because if we look in Europe, if you look in the US, you will find at least 2 different definitions. One definition is early childhood intervention is any kind of, this is the underwords, any kind of detection, diagnosis, and early support for vulnerable families. So it includes the medical system, includes the therapeutical system, includes social work, psychology, special education. In many European countries, early childhood intervention is understood as this complex of diverse professions working in a team around the child, in this case. In other countries, in some countries, early childhood intervention per se is a trademark, is a defined profession, a new professional field, where we educate primarily educators to work in families and to work in terms of translators of the specific knowledge in the medical, pedagogical, psychological fields toward the family. Because what we see is that families mostly do not understand what the highly professionals say, and that these families do have difficulties to transfer this knowledge from the medical practice, from the kindergarten towards daily life. So early childhood intervention could be understood as some kind of key person who is transferring specific knowledge towards daily life activities of the child. Because what we see in early childhood intervention, yes, therapy is important, but real transfer and real prevention is in the daily life structure of the family, at home. So we have these two understandings of early childhood intervention. Don't be confused. One is a specific new professional group, like we train them in Germany, like we train them in Austria and Switzerland. On the other hand, early childhood intervention is a general complex of diagnostic assessment and support structures in transdisciplinary fields.
Just ladies. Sorry. I can tell you it's the same in Germany. When we have presentation for the social affairs, 90% of our students for early intervention or for social work, also in Germany, it's a problem for us. Because we discuss it now, what happens if children in kindergartens only get in touch with women. And German communities start to pay a lot of money and think about how do we get women as professionals into kindergartens. I think it's a very important discussion. But we see the same interest all over Europe. So it's, for me, I'm very proud to be invited, but it's not easy right now after Manfred to have a presentation. And you know, the theme he has given to me is legal basis of early childhood intervention. So we are talking about law. Very dry stuff, I can tell you. I'm trying to get it a little more alive, not just talking about what laws are important. Laws are important for us to gain money. Laws are important to know on which fundament we do. And law are very interesting to see what kind of group of professionals has what lobby to the politicians and country law. So it's interesting to have a look there, but I will not be talking all about law, but it's the legal basis of childhood intervention. So when we have a look, first of all, over Germany, the country where I'm coming from, we have a law of rehabilitation. So we have SGB, social law books. There are 12 altogether. Number 9 is the law of rehabilitation. This we have since 2001. There are many very good things written in it, which are not realized until now. So in Germany, as probably in Macedonia and many other countries, having a law is one thing, realizing the law is maybe another thing. So what our law says, that there are early aid centers. So they must be. And they must be family centered. So our law says, don't look only at the child, look also at family. So professionals have to do that. The tradition is different, as we will see. That's what the law says. Since 2001, these centers are family centered. They have to look at the family, and therefore, they are for children with developmental risk and their social environment. So the task of all these early aid centers is to look at the child, and it's important to look at the child, of course. And it's also important to look at a child in a medical way, also for pedagogues. It's very important. At least to know this child does not have some kind of physical disadvantage. And before pedagogues start, we should know about that. So we need to have a look at the child, but we also need to look at the social environment. So for us, it was very important that became part of the law. And the law says there are 2 different types within the systems. First of all, that's what we call interdisciplinary early aid center. They must be interdisciplinary, or most of the times they are still pedagogic, with some other terms like occupational therapists. But the law says they have to be interdisciplinary. There are in tradition very decentralized. And on the other hand, we have that so-called social pediatric center. So, as you can see by the name, there are patricians who are at least on the top of these centers. Two different systems, the law says, which offer as institutions early support. And this has a long historical background. Manfred says it needs time to increase, so it's kind of history, also in Germany. We started, but not we, it was Professor Hellberger, as a patrician, who started in 1968 his first center in Munich, SPC. And what was revolutionary at that time, in the 60s, he started as an interdisciplinary ambulatory. With a healthcare system, he was patrician, it was a clinic, it was a medical house, and he said, I need a team of interdisciplinary professionals. So not only we as medical doctors, we need also physical therapists, occupational therapists, and also pedagogues in one team. What Professor Hellberger also said, and it is law until now, on the top, there has always been a medical doctor. That's what the law says, so it's a hierarchical system. But for the first time, he started to make a new system as an interdisciplinary system, paid mainly by the health insurance companies, which pay medical support in Germany. The recognition by German social legislations first came in the late 80s. So you see it needed over 20 years until it became part of the law. The other system are the blue ones, the mainly pedagogic ones, the early aid centers. They were first founded in the early 70s after a change of government in Germany. Until that time, since after war, we only had conservative government. And for the first time, the government changed, and with this change, we had many laws. Probably some of you know that name Willy Brandt, who received also the Peace Nobel Prize in the early 70s. And he also founded the so-called German Council on Education for the new government. And they suggested in their recommendations to found early aid centers, pedagogic early aid centers. There's a multiple professional concept, but mainly with a pedagogical focus. So now we have two systems in Germany. What became law